What's going on, guys? I'm Bill and welcome to Bill's How-To. Today I'm going to show you guys the easiest way to fill in large holes, whether it's in timber or other surfaces, really fast and easy. So let's get straight into it, guys. Let's do this. Alright guys, so what we've got here is a front door. The tenants, for whatever reason, installed their own security door or their own screen door and then decided to take it with them when they left. And what they've left behind is little holes here for the hinges, which aren't that big of a deal to fill in. They're pretty easy and it'll dry very quickly using a whole range of different fillers. But this one right here, where the latch is, it's a decent size hole. So we've got probably about almost 3 inches in depth, which is about 2 to 3 centimeters, and it is decent size hole. So whatever product we put in there to make sure it doesn't shrink, it doesn't sag. So today I'm going to show you guys an easy way to do this. What we're going to be using is a builder's bog. So we've got here a builder's bog. Whether you use automotive bog or you use anything else, it's going to be basically the same thing. As it says on the bottom, saw it, nail it, file it, paint it. Really versatile product. The only thing that I wouldn't do with this is stain it. So in this case here, the door and the door jamb is all painted, which is perfect for me. That way I can put in any kind of filler and paint over the top. If it was a stained surface and you wanted to fill it, you'd use something like this one here that can be stained. I'm pretty sure this one here can be stained. Yeah, this one here can be stained. So that's what I'd usually use if I had to stain the door as well, but in this case here it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to be using this product here on the right hand side where all the small holes are. It'll dry pretty quick, or actually, you know what, I might as well use the builder's bog. It'll probably take me about 30 minutes to dry off. And the best thing about this is it comes in 2 parts. So we've got the actual filler itself, which I'll show you guys in a second, and on top you can see that little red tube. That is the hardener. So the more hardener you put in there, you can make it set really quick. So if I mix in a fair bit of hardener, which I am going to do, it should dry off in probably about 20-30 minutes, and I can sand it and paint it all today in probably less than an hour. So what I'm going to do first, I'll quickly put on the GoPro on my head, and I'm going to first remove our strike plate so we can get rid of this one here. Now I'm also going to take off a little sample piece here so that I can match up the color. That little piece there should do. Or just in case, I might actually take one a little bit larger in case the guys ruin my sample. So now I've got a couple more pieces, but it doesn't really matter because we're going to finish this one here off, get it looking perfect. Just take off all that excess material and we can fill it all in. Anything that's loose, so we'll take a little piece of sandpaper, just clean that off a little bit. Doesn't have to be perfect. And same thing on the other side. So all these little holes, sand them back. Alright, so now we're ready to start filling this one here in. What I'm going to do is mix it on a piece of cardboard, just a scrap piece that I found in a recycling bin. Now I don't know about you guys, but I love the smell of this. It smells like nail polish. And any of the scrapers or the tools that you're going to be using with this, make sure it's not something that you use on a regular basis because it's not easy to clean at all. A little bit more and that should do it. Now once we mix this one here, we're going to need to work pretty quick, depending on how much hardener you've put in there. So it really doesn't matter, you literally can put a drop in there, but the more you add in, the more you're going to have to quickly apply this. So a little drop like that, even I'll put a little bit more, make it set a bit quicker. This is going to set super quick now. As soon as you start mixing it, it should start going hard. Might use the bigger one. And you can tell I have mixed a lot of hardener in there because of the color of it. The best thing about this is no shrinkage, no sagging. So if you're working above head, anywhere up on the ceiling or anything like that, you can really fill this stuff in really nice and easy without having to worry that it's going to drop down, it's going to sag. It holds its position pretty well. And at the end of the day, you can add a bit more hardener, and that'll also give you a bit more time. Try to get a better view for you guys. So if you find it is slumping just a little bit and it's not sitting the way you want, you can give it another 30 seconds, a minute or so, and then start to work it in. But what I do at this point is I'll overfill it, and then as it hardens up, I'll scrape a little bit of that excess material off. So we'll just let that one there sit for now. I'll get in all the other side. I can start feeling it wanting to go hard. It's pretty easy to sand this stuff. That's why just overfill it and then sand it down exactly the way that you want. This stuff is literally magic for any of those times where you need to fill something in and you're in a bit of a hurry, or it's in a position that will sag, or a really deep hole as we've got on the other side. Any of the other fillers won't be able to fill all in one go, and they'll tend to shrink or sag. So that actually wasn't too bad. I didn't mix too much hardener as I thought. Oh, there we go, it's starting to go hard now. It's Murphy's Law. As soon as you open your mouth, and you can see that it's no longer workable like it was before. So what I'll do quickly, I'll check how this side here's going. This side here's still got a bit more workability in it. So I'll mash that all in. And as it goes hard, we can then start removing any of that excess. Probably shouldn't have touched it. And you can see now, working on this, it leaves it all really dirty. Hard to clean later on, so try and scrape off whatever you can now. But I wouldn't recommend using your good tools on this. Use something hard, old, sorry. Everything's hard now. All right, let's go. So now with this one here, instead of sanding all of this off, you can scrape it back as you want, reduce the amount of sanding that you need to do. And once again on the other side, you can just scrape a bit of that off, reduce the amount of sanding that you need to do. This one is looking pretty good as is. Let it set for a bit. I'll quickly go head off to the store, pick up my sample for my paint, and then we'll come back, sand this off. See, we might need to give it one more final coat, just to make sure that it's got a nice perfect finish on the end, and then we should be ready to paint. All right, so I've been gone for probably about 20-30 minutes now. Picked up my paint. Usually I prefer to get a paint and prime all in one. In this base here, they didn't have the paint and prime option, so I'm gonna have to prime separate and then paint over the top. Now with this one here, after about 20 to 30 minutes, it's already rock hard, ready to be sanded. This section here is going to need a second coat because I did touch it that second time around, which I probably shouldn't have, but as you guys can tell, it dries up pretty quick, so I'll quickly put on a second coat here, and this side here is ready to be sanded. So if we take the sandpaper, this one here is 120 grit, and you can see there it comes up perfect. Try getting that little corner. And now that's ready to go, ready to be primed and painted. So I'll quickly just sand off this one here while I'm already got the sandpaper in my hand. Run your hand over the top, make sure it's all nice and flush. So once again, we'll mix up a little batch. I'll add a bit more hardener again, speed up the process. Might only take 20 minutes or so. That'll do it. And while it's still nice and fresh, even if we go a little bit higher, it doesn't matter. Run that all the way down, and we'll clean off our edge as well. So we'll build it up, and then we'll clean it all out after. I'll leave this as is for now. I know it looks a little bit messy, but as it starts to dry off, then I can contour it using my knife, and we'll have a perfect finish. We'll just let that sit for a bit. So now most of it's starting to go off. We can scrape away any of that excess material, anything that we can reduce when it comes to sanding. Alright, so now this part here is ready to be sanded. Once again, same as before, 120 grit, and we're just going to keep going until we've got that nice, flush and smooth. So the good thing about using sandpaper in your hand is you can use it to get in those corners and contour the area. Even on this edge here, use this side here, it's a little bit flatter, and we can just run that up and down. To get that nice little return. Clean up the area. Wipe off the area, make sure there's no dust. And we're ready to prime and then paint. We'll just let the primer dry, and then we're ready to get started on painting. So this door here is a two-tone door. It's white on the inside and whatever this color is on the outside. I'm just going to mask it off, make it a little bit easier. When I'm painting, I don't have to worry about going over onto the other line. Do the same thing down the bottom. And just keep cutting up little tiny pieces until you've covered the whole area down the bottom. Make sure we don't make a mess on the tiles. So because we're going to be painting this in the same as the original color, this side here is a little bit worn out, but up the top it's still in good condition. What I'm going to be doing is I'll do one coat over all the patched areas, let that dry, and then I'll give the whole trim one final coat, and that'll tie everything in nicely. So we'll start off on the single coat just on these patched up areas first. Make sure when you're painting, you always go with the grain, and you don't want to overfill your brush. Always just use the tip of the brush. It'll help you get a perfect finish. It does look like it's a little bit of a different color, but once this dries, it'll be perfect. So at the moment you can see there with one coat, we can't even tell where the old existing holes were. We'll let this first coat here dry. It should probably take about 20 to 30 minutes, and then we can come back and give it a full final coat. So the first coat's now dry and it's time for our second coat, but as you can tell, or hopefully not tell, I can't even tell where this old hole was. That's the honest truth. It was somewhere around here, but if we work our way up, I can only just make it out down here somewhere, and that's only because it's missing a little bit of the grain. So if I spent a little bit more time, I could have perfected this and tried to get the grains all the way through. But other than that, I don't think anybody will ever know that there used to be a hole here. And the color's almost spot on. So this side here, there's not much light, so you can tell, or you can't tell the difference in the color. This side here, a bit more light on it, but this side here was worn out anyway, so a bit weathered down the bottom. As we come up, the color match becomes a lot more better. So you can see up there, looking pretty good. So I'll give this one here a final coat and we should be done, guys. And once that's all done, guys, this is the finished product. So you cannot see those holes whatsoever. The patchwork has come up 100% perfect all the way through, and the color was spot on as well. So a nice little project. Took me in total probably about 2 hours to complete, but especially on this other side here where we had the larger hole, as we run down, I don't know about you guys, but I cannot see where that patch is, especially now that we've gone over it and painted it with the brush. The brush leaves all those bristles or the brush marks through the paint, which gives it that wood grain effect. So nice little finish. That is what you guys can expect when you use Builder's Bog. Builder's Bog can be used on a variety of different materials, anything from fiberglass, tiles, timber, especially as you guys have just seen. If you've got rotted timber, you can cut it out, replace it. using builder's bog. At the same time, you can also use it for masonry products. So cement, concrete, bricks, anything like that, you can fill it in, you can drill through it, cut it, contour it while it's nice and soft, and that's the kind of results you can expect. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed the video and you've learned something new. That's what this channel is about, simply helping you guys get out there and do it yourself. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. As always guys, like, comment and subscribe. Until next time, I'm Bill. Thanks for watching Billshowto.